What's going on, dudes and dudettes? So yeah, a bit of news happening for most of my teams these past couple of days since the last video, but gonna focus on pretty much three main team wins in this video because it's probably gonna take up most of the time anyway in the videos. Plus, I want to get my thoughts out on them a bit more, and then probably have the rest of the stuff within the next day or two in another video altogether. So look forward to that because like a couple commitments, a couple of nice things happening for a couple of my teams out there. But yeah, start off with the Monday Night Football game last night for the Chargers against the Cowboys. Yeah, it was. I wasn't going into it as nervous as like I would be for a big time USC game like it was Notre Dame this last weekend, but just saying like, yeah, the Chargers have a chance and they could only beat themselves if that ends up happening towards the end, and that's basically what happened. They ended up losing 20-17, and there's a lot of things badly that happened. Yeah, you could blame Herbert because there was a couple of easy passes that he missed. There's quite a few passes he missed, even on that very last play that was intercepted by Dallas. His receiver kind of got pushed out of the way. I don't know if that's legal or not, but kind of looked like the defender pushed him and was able to get in front of him. But that's just once again showing that they selected these certain players that don't really fight and get at these balls, even though anybody else that was drafted around them is doing a lot better than they are. And even if they just attempted to try to go after that, pass attempt, then they would probably get a penalty call on the defense, and the drive still continues. But that happened many times. So Joshua Palmer did that multiple times, not only for first downs, but even for a touchdown as well. He could have just went forward and kind of blocked off and sealed off the defender to make sure that if he's going to go after the ball, he's going to go through him and get the PI, whatever. But either way, it's, these selections, everybody wants to go off and blame Brandon Staley, the head coach, automatically as usual. But I'm kind of glad that I've been hearing a couple people recently actually questioning and thinking about and asking questions about Justin Herbert, the quarterback, more than anything. Yeah, he does have a technical excuse because one of his fingers is broken, but it is on his other hand, so it's not like it should be really affecting his throwing hand, but maybe it is causing enough discomfort to throw him off or think too much and want to get the ball out so he doesn't get hit. But either way, I mean, some people did like looking at his fourth quarter stats and everything like that the past couple of years, and it's been like pretty bad, like especially when it comes down to one score games for the Chargers that he's obviously been a part of, especially the last 2 years. I think they're like maybe 3-6, something like that, and probably even a worse record. But it just shows how many close games these dumb Chargers get into, and I have to deal with every Sunday or Monday or Thursday, whenever they play. But yeah, it's a lot better when more of the country gets to see what a real Chargers fan has to go through and deal with. Because even if the Chargers were leading at some point, even if they had a 7-point, 4-point lead, you still don't feel comfortable at all going down the stretch when your team doesn't even get a first down and they give enough time for the other team to go down and do something with the ball. But overall, hopefully they do learn from this, and I hope that, the general manager, Tom Telesco, is getting a bit of heat as well. Not only the head coach, but Telesco deserves a lot of it, because when everybody all of a sudden goes back after trying to see all these certain players that are playing for them and what could have happened and all this stuff, and it's like, excuse me, I would have, if you just looked at my mock drafts before the NFL drafts, you would see I had way better players that the Chargers should have selected, and they don't listen. And then even when the draft officially does come around, there are players available. Like, say, they wanted a receiver in the first round, and they got the TCU guy, Quentin Johnson, who only had like 2 targets last night and 0 catches. But there was a Zay Flowers. They didn't want him because he was too short, coming out of Boston College, and yet he's doing really well with the Baltimore Ravens. And drafted right after Johnston was Jordan Addison, the wide receiver from USC. Obviously, people were thinking I'm a homer for USC, but he's been one of the better NFL rookie receivers out there as well. So, I don't know. The print is in the pudding, that whatever the heck that saying means, but it's obvious that it's not only maybe the wrong coach at the time and this is like wrong coach and quarterback combo, it's definitely the general manager's fault, and he definitely needs to be the first one to go. I think that should be the first person to go. They bring in a new guy, and he decides if he wants to keep Staley or not, whether it's if they do it early enough to be the rest of this year or even a full year next year, the last year of his contract, and pretty much cut ties after that so you don't owe him any money. You could do it that way, or they just want to bring in their own person, and that's it. But the fact that they basically are going to be giving Justin Herbert at least the start of that new big contract extension next season, I don't think they're going to be willing to move him away unless they get like a first-round pick and are able to get someone like a Caleb Williams, who, as of right now, his stock and even his Heisman candidacy is dropping as well because of his past couple of games, his outputting out there. But yeah, I'll get into that in a bit. But either way, it's definitely very troubling for some of my teams out there. And yes, on Saturday night, Duke was playing football as well, and it was going to be a tough matchup because it's a semi-rivalry with an in-state school and NC State, and the NC State has usually been the better team when it comes to the football programs out there, but luckily Duke got that victory 24-3, which is pretty crazy because Riley Leonard, the good quarterback, did not play because he was injured, and the backup quarterback, it didn't seem to matter because he probably only threw it a couple times, and they scored long touchdowns, whether it was him passing or them running the ball very well and playing amazing defense, and they're even ranked I think number 3 overall in the ACC standings, which is pretty awesome. But yeah, overall it was a pretty nice victory for the Duke Blue Devils, even without their main star Riley Leonard, and definitely they do have a big time matchup this Saturday against Florida State, who's pretty much ranked number 2 or 3 in the country, and that game was actually flexed because it was either going to be on the ACC network or ABC, and now it's been pushed to prime time to the ABC network, so they're going to be in front of everybody. Kind of like that Notre Dame game, which it'll suck if they don't have Riley Leonard, but you never know because crazier things do happen in college football, and they could probably pull off an upset. But this was definitely one of the games. The games I thought they would lose would be maybe Clemson, Notre Dame, and Florida State, and they lost Notre Dame. They did beat Clemson, so maybe their other loss comes in a couple weeks against North Carolina, who's a really good team ahead of them in the ACC as well. But either way, I still think this is going to be a successful season for them, no matter what ends up happening to them this Saturday. And yes, USC versus Notre Dame, one of the bigger inter-conference rivalries, whatever they want to call it, happened this last Saturday, and for the most part, USC kind of hung in there. Their defense actually stepped up in this game, even though the final score was 48-20. But yeah, it's just weird how throughout this whole entire year, it just seems either the defense doesn't show up, the offense doesn't show up, certain parts of the offense or defense don't show up in a game. But now it was officially pretty much all of the offense didn't show up for USC, and Caleb was having to make plays that he didn't usually like to make, or he's always been on the run and be able to make these crazy big-time plays and throws, but during that game, it was just tougher because he was just under more stress and duress and all that stuff. He had 3 interceptions himself, and that pretty much kind of sealed their fate because Notre Dame was actually not, their numbers weren't that good because every time they got the ball, it was off of interceptions, and they even returned a kick return for a touchdown after USC got pretty close, and so that's another 7 points right there just giving up. And then the 3 interceptions, they all led to at least touchdowns, if I'm not mistaken, for Notre Dame on short fields. So you just put your defense in a bad position right there, and Notre Dame is too physical up front, especially their offensive line. So of course they were going to score with that little bit of field, and I think there was a fumble by a USC wide receiver, Marvin Williams, and then that was returned. So there's a lot of points there. So if USC even just scores their 20 points, they probably still win that game without some of those mistakes. You probably still need to score a bit more if Notre Dame does get one of those touchdowns or a field goal or something as well. I'm not making excuses or trying to make this a win at any point for USC. They definitely did get dominated, and this was a loss, but I think it's definitely something they needed because, yeah, Caleb's Heisman candidacy is questioned right now. His numbers have not been stellar the past 2 weeks, but he does have a chance to bounce back because they do get Utah this next Saturday coming up, and Utah obviously beat them twice last year, so this was a game, no matter what, was going to be circled and have them motivated enough to want to beat them finally this year, especially Caleb. But yeah, when you look at those Pac-12 standings, USC, I think, was fourth. I want to say fourth or third, I forget. But right there, then any of those teams ahead of them, Oregon, Washington, Utah is right around there as well. Even Oregon State and UCLA. USC plays all of them. Well, except Oregon State, but maybe they could play Oregon State in the Pac-12 championship game. So there's a possibility that that can happen as well. They're going to be all ranked teams. You have a chance to move up every single week and hopefully get back into the playoff contention race. But either way, definitely looking forward to seeing how this season ends for them. Like I said, I got a lot of more other news to talk about, a lot of extra stuff, and have that in another video. It did just suck seeing like Notre Dame, especially their quarterback Hartman, trolling the Trojans after. Usually it's the fight on, but he was doing like a thumbs down or fight on down, whatever the heck, whatever. Get over it. Maybe we'll see them again. You never know, but yes, hoping for the best for my USC Trojans the rest of the year, and hopefully Caleb Williams can get back into that Heisman race with amazing play the rest of the year. Like I said, thanks for watching. Like and subscribe. Comment down below. Let me know what y'all think. Have a great day. Bye.